Thank you very much. A 400 trillion XRP revolution has started. What the heck does that mean? Well, there is a $400 trillion market that XRP is currently destroying with some of the biggest companies. This partnership's real possibility hasn't been talked about much on this channel or any other channel for that matter. $400 quadrillion is a lot of money. The value of Bitcoin is only about $2.50 trillion right now, but the future of crypto will be much bigger than that. And I have very good reasons to think that this $400 trillion goal can be reached in the next 10 years. That should be all the news you guys want to hear, but things get even stranger than that, which is why I'm so excited to show you a lot of this stuff. So first I'd like to talk about where the market is now, since I was just in Singapore for token 2049 yesterday. I also saw a lot of people who thought the crypto market would reach its peak in the fourth quarter of 2025. This is the end of it. You can also see that a lot of this feeling is spreading across X. A planned exit is being talked about for November or December, with many predicting that this will be the end of the bull run for stocks, gold, cryptocurrencies, and much more. This is the end. I need to quickly talk about this because I have some knowledge that shows a very different picture. Right now, the S&P 500, gold, Bitcoin, and everything else are all going up a lot. In fact, some of them are up more than 40% in the last 6 months. Gold is getting close to $4,000 an ounce, and Bitcoin's market value just hit $2.5 trillion. Of course, the market is now going backwards, but we just made that happen. The question now is whether the markets are very strong or the US dollar is falling. The answer is both. We are now going through what is called the AI and RWA banking revolution, which is a lot like the Industrial Revolution in the early 1900s. While production is going through a huge jump, the markets start to look like they are right now, but because these runs are fueled by huge increases in productivity, they also cause huge amounts of long-lasting growth that lasts longer than past cycles. So let me tell you something, because I think it has something to do with everything I'm talking about, even the $400 trillion market we'll talk about in a moment. But as you can see, Bitcoin shot up to $125,000 yesterday, which is now the all-time high. Bitcoin is now worth a record $25 trillion. At the same time, gold, silver, and all the other valuable metals blew up completely. There's a big rush going on. People and businesses alike are rushing to buy gold stocks. Coins are the Fed is cutting rates. The value of the US dollar is dropping by, crazy amounts. It's having the worst year since 1973 so far, with a 10% drop so far this year. For this reason, people keep buying goods. The prices of stocks and crypto will keep going through the roof if the value of the US dollar keeps going down. We also know that the money protein will keep coming. Trump says he wants to give every American a boost check for $2,000 to help the economy. So what do you guys think will happen when there are more dollars in circulation and more money is printed? It's really just a simple equation. Any trader, or just about anyone with a brain, will put their money into things that will not lose value over time. It's been made very clear that investments like XRP are what all of these people want. I'd like to talk about this work boom we're going through right now. It's being called a bubble now. There's a lot of work getting done. So technology and related stocks now make up a record 56% of the stock market. This is 5 percentage points more than the peak of the dot-com bubble in 2000. The lowest share of defense stocks ever, at 60% of the market, was also seen at that time. When you compare these numbers to the peak of the dot-com bubble, you can see, yes, it does look a little scary. We seem to be in a big bubble. That's the reason many people say this. I'd like to show you something else, though. The person here put up a very important graph. The stock market has never had such a strong part before. It's not crazy, though. We need to go back in time more. The market stands in for the effect on production and growth. We're used to having such small effects that don't change much over time. The last time we had an explosion of effects was during the second industrial revolution. We can see that the consumer discretionary was going through a parabolic curve during the second industrial revolution by opening this image. Why does that happen? Well, there were huge increases in output. As you might expect, we went from having to do everything by hand to having tools that can make infinitely more than we could before. We had all of these great, well-designed tools that changed our lives, like cars and everything else. Things were moving at incredibly fast rates, much faster than they ever have before. You can see very clearly how this discretionary measure just went through the roof. And now, of course, we can see that the markets have grown astronomically because of this. You can see, though, that we're not really living in a crazy bubble like some people might have you think. It's not really crazy. And when you look at what AI can do, I mean, it's impossible to miss what Bitcoin and AI do for people. It makes everything infinitely more useful, much more useful than ever before in human history. We're talking about an AI model that can write you an email right away and solve a very hard math problem right away, things that would take you hours to do. There has never been a time when so many people worked so hard. This might even be bigger than the AI revolution or the industrial revolution. This is the rise of AI. This is the rise of crypto. This is the rise of XRP. Where did I get the number $400 trillion? Well, a big part of what's going on here is tokenizing real stuff. This is the rise of crypto. This is the truth. Being able to turn real world goods into tokens. Nothing is safe from this. Stocks, real estate, valuable metals, and even ideas. This is where the money markets are going, and this is what BlackRock, VanEck, Grayscale, and all the other big hedge funds are putting their money into right now. Not long ago, we saw that BlackRock, VanEck, and Securitize made a deal with Ripple to start tokenizing assets in the real world. There's no chance about this. It's not like this is happening for no reason. Ever since 2020, BlackRock has been talking about tokenizing real-world assets in public. That's not likely how long they've been thinking about it. Take a look at this. What size is the market for tokenizing all the real-world goods that are out there right now? I'll tell you what, that market could easily be worth more than $400 trillion in 10 years. When you add everything up, especially the land, it could be a lot bigger than that. That's a huge, huge market. Also, all of these deals will need to happen on crypto blockchains. And no, none of this can happen on Bitcoin because it lacks the layer 2 features and throughput needed to make these transfers happen. And surprise, what does it? It is possible to do 40,000 deals per second on the XRP ledger. Yes, that can definitely meet everyone's needs when it comes to tokenizing and transacting real-world assets.